Okay, so today is day 167 of our 1000 Dawns, and in about 45 minutes from now, I have got to get myself out the door and on my way to work. Thank goodness I decided to have a shower just about an hour ago and get everything else I needed to done out the way. So, whilst we are here, let's talk a little bit whilst we do have this time. So, despite having a slightly rough sort of few days, and I think I've already explained about my ongoing issues with sleep, as it turns out. Thankfully, there are other things I wanted to be able to lay out for the time being, and the first is that, well, it's more to do in line with how I actually get paid. Ironically, so ever since I started working again, my pay has very gradually increased each month, owing to the fluctuation of how many hours I do actually at my job. Now, granted, with that being said, I think I may have mentioned it before, but because my job is very much shift based, it means that there could be periods where I'm working 8 days in a row, or sometimes it's 3 days followed by a period of 2 days off work, and then it could be 5 days, or it could work out in that sort of. It's a very archaic sort of way, and it's kind of why, honestly, I'm not really a fan of doing shift work. I would rather have it where I was doing about 58 or so hours a week if they were absolutely set in stone Monday to Saturday. I think I much prefer that arrangement. But sadly, one can't have everything, but that's just the game we play, and this is just sort of how it has to be. The only alternative is to seek alternative employment, in which they did offer a lot more fixed hours that way. Still, for what they're worth, I can't really fault it, because as I said a few moments ago, pay has gradually gone up each month, and the when I got paid, it was again a little bit more what I usually get paid. It's about, I would say, half a day's graft more than what I was expecting. Now, again, I think I may have also made the point that I thought that it was going to be maybe a bit more than that, and maybe this is one of those times I would actually have to investigate in terms of what I get paid, because they do outline in my payslip what I get paid and what gets taken off in deductions, like, national insurance, tax, etc. So I'll have to investigate that, because I can't tell if I'm just getting paid more, if I have to pay more tax, or if there's like anything else. I know I have to pay like student finance back, but I would be rather interested to know exactly how much student finance I also have to pay back, because arguably, once I get like my loan paid off for, like, I had to take out for the car, ideally I would actually quite like to have student finance be the next big priority to have paid off. You see, that would be quite nice, because I'm pretty sure even after 8 years since I graduated, surely I must be creeping ever so closer to having it paid off. Because I'm not going to be one of those people who frets for the rest of their lives about, having it paid off. It'll get paid off. Because of things I'm about to explain to next. So, I think I may have made a mention of it last night, that despite having a relatively short day yesterday, a lot of it was spent working away. So not only did I get videos made, not only am I getting things up and running, but even earlier today, we are getting things on the move once again. And the objects of these sorts of things are very clear for the world to see, because everything is once again in full swing. Because it's finally dawned on me, or rather, the notion has dawned on me, that guess what? If I am going to be treating this as the official end game for 2026, then I've got to start working like it's the official end game. And considering everything that I've got to have finished, and everything I've I'm starting up again with everything outlined, because I did actually manage to sit down and I totted up every single thing I had to have done. So, you know, whilst we're here, let's talk about it. Let's talk about everything we've got to get done. Not only have I got to get this channel monetized before the year is over, but I've got to have at least 2 other YouTube channels that I run monetized before the year is over. I've also got to get at least 150 videos made on my main channel. I've got to get 100 videos made on a separate channel that will run me up until the very end of the year on a separate channel, when I start action up there again at the very end of July, which is just 2 weeks away from now. So I've got to get cracking. I've also got calendars that I started off doing last night in Microsoft Excel, that once they're all done, they are going to have to be printed off, and I'm going to have a serious look about, well, how I'm going to be able to organize and shift everything in place. And with all those calendars, there may be at least another 200 videos to make all the way through, not just the rest of this year, but also through the rest of 2027 either. 2027 is almost going to be a little bit of a stopgap of things that have to be made. That means that I won't have things to worry about if I keep my standards up to the maximum for at least another 18 months. So it's a very high production. It's a low cost, very high production sort of operation I'm running. One of these days, I think maybe before we get to okay, let me just put a pause on that one. Let me hold the brakes on this one. So in about 6 days from now, which will be on the 22nd of July, it will be my 8-year anniversary of being on this platform, of making videos and putting myself out there in the big wide world. And one thing I want to start doing from like here on outwards is to do like special videos about explaining the story so far, because I feel like to sort of chronologize, to talk about events that have happened in my life, both on the web, and also things that I get up to in my work life and everything else besides. There is still never really a moment to pause, never really a moment to slow down and think. So the only thing to do is to very much carry on. But I think outlining everything that I need to have outlined is certainly a good way to showcase how far I've come, but how far we've got to go, because there is so much work left to be done. It is actually almost staggering. And then of course there's everything else that I haven't even thought about mentioning so far, which includes, but not limited to, short films I'm producing, larger projects I'll be producing, projects I'll be writing for. Basically, I will be working myself, and bear in mind, I don't even feel like I've even scratched the surface, because one of the other things I did, and I spent a little bit of last night doing, is that I made in total like 5 sheets in one book in Microsoft Excel, explaining like a business timeline about exactly how I'm gonna make how if it's even possible to get this all done. And to be fair, Excel, because I try to like calculate figures, and I try to like bounce back and forth between minutes and memoranda. I try to bounce back and forth between what exactly I would need to take. I need to find out what my purchasing, what my labor costs, what my break even is, what my subtotal would be for the end of the year. I would also have to work out what makes me stand out. I have to work out presentation. I would need to also work out marketing, networking, socializing. Yeah, basically, I'm treating this as a business, but that means pretty much one thing and one thing only, is that everything starts with the top. It starts and stops here. This, like I said, this is a high production, minimal cost enterprise, one run by exactly one person, and for everything that I have in place, it's going to be a bit of a tall order to really make my dreams a reality. And it's probably what I know fine well I can't really do it alone, but I'm not entirely sure exactly. I know it can be done. That's the thing. I know absolutely this can be done. But the problem is, am I really the person to make it possible? And I think I know deep down inside I can do it. It's just, it's a little daunting knowing that, well, what happens if it fails and I've wasted 8 years of my life for nothing. I don't really think I've really wasted my life or anything like that, or wasted the last 8 years in doing this. It's just, well, I think it's the really harsh reality is like it's slowly beginning to like make itself felt. But with that being said, despite knowing all this time about the harsh reality of this all, and despite the fact that it has sort of resulted in me crashing out and literally sleeping for like nearly 13 hours a day, at no stage has it actually caused me to like ever slow down. And I think that might be the most telling part of it all, is that I haven't actually quit. And that's because I have no intention of quitting. This is going to continue because I know fine well that I can make it work. And I think that's just about the end of the story. I know that I can do it, so therefore I've just got to, like I said, get on with it. There are two types of people in this world, ladies and gentlemen. There are those who can't or won't, and there are those that can and do. And you know what? I am still, with no real shadow of a doubt, definitely in this camp. So, off we go.